If you're in need of a budget gaming PC, one that is easy to build and which you can upgrade with a dedicated graphics card once we are past the terrible GPU shortage, well, then you're in the right place, cause today I'm gonna show you guys how to actually build a budget gaming PC in 2022. Let's get into it. Welcome back to RBN Hardware, guys. So this machine comes in at about $505 to be exact, and it includes all new PC parts, and the thing is, it is actually getting cheaper and cheaper by the day as the CPU with integrated graphics inside this PC is dropping in price on a weekly basis. Let's take a look at the specifications and break down the PC part list. Let's look at why I chose each PC component to give you guys a better understanding how to think when it comes to building a similar cheap gaming PC like this one, even if you don't have the exact PC part I selected. So starting with the case, this is the Lian Li Longcool 215, and it is easy one of my top favorite budget cases with good airflow in 2022. Now if you're planning to upgrade the PC later down the road with, let's say, a Radeon RX 6600 or an RTX 3060, you definitely don't gonna have to worry about high GPU temperatures, cause the included 280mm RGB equipped fans, they got you covered, as these two bad boys can move some serious amount of air. Now the reason why I keep recommending this case is because it is easy to build in, you're also getting so much value in price, it also offers great airflow, and it is also widely available. That being said, I know some of you guys do prefer to build in a slightly smaller form factor when possible, and if you're one of those people, I recommend having a look at either the Codemaster MB311 or the Colink Citadel Mesh. Both have a mesh front and two ARGB fans for optimal cooling over the CPU and a potential GPU later down the road. Also, one of the reasons why I keep using and recommending these cases is the fact that you can basically throw in pretty much any component in here, good looking or not, and you still end up with a pretty nice looking PC build in the end. The case choice always comes down to personal preference, and this is something that is quite subjective, and truthfully you can pretty much go with any case you prefer here as long as it supports the M-ATX form factor. Let's move on to the power supply. Here I selected the CV550 from a well-known company called Corsair. Why this unit? Well, I have actually used this in plenty of my PC builds, and I only have good things to say about it. This is one area you definitely wanna stick to reputable brands. This unit has 80+ bronze certification, it comes with all black cables, and it's also well priced. Now if you don't have any plans of installing a GPU later down the line, you can easily get away with a 450 watt unit, such as the VGA BR series. You can snag this one for about $25 to $30. Now keep in mind, while this unit will save you a bit of cash, you will be a bit limited if you want to upgrade to a dedicated graphics card along the way. 550 watts of power is enough to handle a mid-tier GPU such as the RTX 3060 or the Radeon RX 6600, which are great pairings for the CPU for today's PC build. For storage, you have plenty of options to choose from. NVMe drives or M.2 flash-based storage have dropped in price significantly over the last couple of years. Nowadays, you can easily get a snappy and fast 512GB unit under $60, which was completely unheard of just a few years ago. And here you can basically pick any reputable drive and expect a fast and snappy Windows experience and short in-game loading times. Now the drive I like to recommend for anyone looking to build a high quality budget PC comes from Samsung, and this unit is called 980 SSD, and here we find speeds up to 3500 megabytes per second. Now obviously you can also go a bit lower and pick something like the Kingston MV1 for like $40 and still enjoy speeds up to about 2100. Next up we have RAM, and now you wanna listen up carefully, cause now we are transitioning over to a component that has a serious impact on the performance and in-game FPS. Now due to the way that the APU operates and communicates with the rest of the gaming PC, picking the right RAM kit is very important for your gaming experience, so this is one area we definitely don't wanna cheap out on. For today's build, I'm picking the Corsair Vengeance LPX 16GB kit with a speed of 3200 MHz at CL16. However, if you do have a few extra dollars to spare, I do recommend you guys to go for 3600 to get the maximum performance out of the igpu. I'll link up the best kit I can find down below. Now before we take a look at the CPU and GPU, let's get the motherboard out of the way. Here I'm going with the Gigabyte B550M. Now while this isn't the cheapest motherboard around, it is still quite future-proof. But that being said, if you want to save $20, you can easily opt for the Asus B450M as well. Moving on to the CPU choice, and if you haven't guessed it already, yes, we are indeed using the Ryzen 5 5600G APU. Based on the latest blazing fast Zen 3 architecture, the 5600G comes packed with plenty of CPU and GPU performance. As a bonus, it comes with a Wraith stealth cooler, so you don't have to think about spending extra for a CPU cooler either. Now the cool thing about the 5600G is that it houses both the CPU and the GPU. As for the CPU part, we find a 6-core 12-thread processor, and for the GPU unit we find a Radeon RX Vega chip, and this amazing chip is fast enough to run most games at 900p low to medium graphics. The gaming performance you can expect is much better than what most people actually think. Running through about 20 games reveals how powerful the GPU part actually is. Most esport games such as CSGO, Valorant, Fortnite and Rainbow Six runs above 60 FPS with pretty good margin, while more demanding games lands a bit lower. Now scaling down the resolution to 900p, you're getting close to 60 FPS in a lot of popular titles, which is pretty spectacular. But perhaps the coolest thing with this budget PC is that when the time is right and when the GPU market has stabilized, you can upgrade the PC to a complete beast. For example, let's say you decide to throw in a $220 GTX 1660. The difference in gameplay smoothness is day and night. Now, while the 1660 is fairly powerful, it can't handle 1440p gaming, but the truth is the 5600G can easily handle a lot more powerful GPUs, and with a 550 watt power supply unit we selected for this build, you can easily pop in a Radeon RX 6600 or an RTX 3060 GPU and enjoy 1080p gaming at high frame rate, or why not bump the resolution to 1440p if that is what you prefer. And that is basically how you can actually build a $500 budget gaming PC in 2022. Now if you want to build a gaming PC but you want to save as much money as possible, I have a video linked up down below that covers a PC build featuring a Radeon RX 580. If you have any questions, let me know down below.